He's thinking this stock marketing is too easy. So he cashed out his profit and started dreaming of quitting his job to become a full-time investor. But then a few weeks later, he checks back and sees that the same stock now is now gone up 50%.
More, Jide is pained. He's like, why didn't I just wait? But instead of learning his lesson, he decides to jump into another stock that is trending on social media. Hello, welcome to the Nigerian Investors Podcast, the unofficial podcast that tracks and reports on the activities of the Nigerian boss. My name is Moody, and with my colleague Aye, we will be hosting this podcast. TNI Podcast is dedicated to stimulating a renewed enthusiasm among the general population with regard to the activities of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Ultimately, the goal of TNI is to see that many Nigerians from all walks of life, both at home and in the diasporas, become active participants on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Before we go further, we would like to place on record TNI podcast is solely for educational purposes and not a replacement for professional financial advice. Let's begin.
Welcome back to the Nigerian Investor, your go-to podcast for making sense of the Nigerian stock market without all the jargon. And I'm Ayi.
And I'm Moody. Today, we're diving into something that could be the difference between winning big and losing fast in the stock market: patience. If you've ever been tempted to check your stock app every 5 minutes, this episode is for you.
Completely agree on that, Moody. Yes, but before we begin, let's get this out of the way. The story we're about to share is completely fictional and created to illustrate the importance of lessons about investing. If it sounds like something you've been through, well, that's probably because many investors have made the same mistakes.
Exactly. And as always, this isn't financial advice, just good old storytelling and market wisdom. Now, let's talk about Jide, a retail investor who, like many of us, thought he could outsmart the market.
So picture this, Jide is fresh out of the university, right? And he lands his first job. He gets his first paycheck, and instead of buying the latest iPhone or blowing it on weekends flexing, he decides to invest the money.
Smart guy, right? He does some research, picks a few stocks, and boom, one of them jumps 50% in just a week. Jide is feeling like Warren Buffett's long lost son.
And this is always something that we always notice in the market, right? He's thinking this
Mm.
stock marketing is too easy. So he cashed out his profit and started dreaming of quitting his job to become a full-time investor. But then a few weeks later, he checks back and sees that the same stock is now gone up 50%.
Or more, Jide is pained. He's like, why didn't I just wait? But instead of learning his lesson, he decides to jump into another stock that is trending on social media.
Social media stocks. Every investor's love and hate relationship. So Jide throws his money into the hot peak that influencers are hyping up right now, expecting another quick win. But guess what happens?
Market God said no. The stock starts tanking the moment he buys in. Jide starts sweating. His heart rate is faster than a generator running on low fuel.
Now panic mode has activated, right? He's checking his phone every 5 minutes, refreshing it like his life depends on it. And after a few bad days, he can't take anymore. He sells at a 20% loss, convinced that investing is a scam.
But a few months later, the same stock recovers and doubles in value. Jide still pained. Now, a quick break. I can tell you that I've experienced what Jide is experiencing
I think
life and
everybody has
direct. It
experienced
happens.
this.
It happens to
Every
everybody,
yeah.
and sometimes you feel like your village people, they are really after you. Jide is not alone. We've experienced this before, so let's continue.
All right, so let's now look at the lessons that changed everything. So at this point, Jide is done with investing, or so he thinks, right? But one evening, while scrolling through YouTube, he stumbles on an interview with an old school investor, and the guy drops a bombshell. Time in the market beats timing the market.
That quote shakes his soul. Jide realizes that he's been thinking about investing all wrong. Instead of chasing quick gains, what if he just held onto quality stocks for years?
So he makes a very important change, right? He stops chasing hype and starts focusing on strong companies with solid fundamentals. He even sets up an automatic investment account so he doesn't have to overthink things.
Fast forward a few years, while his friends are still gambling on get rich quick stocks, Jide's portfolio is thriving. One of his early investments up 500% over the decade.
And now, when people ask him for investing advice, he just smiles and says, the market rewards patience. Let time do the heavy lifting.
Yes, that's true. Let's look at the final thoughts, the real power of patience. So, what is the moral of this story? Patience is a money making skill. If you are investing, think long term. Don't let social media or panic ruin your wealth building journey.
For real, that's very, very real, right? The stock market is not a casino, it's a wealth building machine for those who know how to use it.
And before we wrap up, let's repeat this one more time. Jide's story was fictional, but the lesson is very real. Do your own research, invest wisely, and let patience do the work.
And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends and don't forget to follow our podcast on Twitter at TNI Podcaster. We are always ready to drop investing gems for you to listen and gain important insights.
Yes, and subscribe to the Nigerian Investor on YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, stay consistent, stay curious, and stay invested. Thank you for listening to another episode of the favorite podcast that brings insight to the Nigerian stock market. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To get more episodes like this, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, as well as on our website. All this information is available in the show note below this episode. Until we bring you another episode your way next week. Bye for now. TNI podcast is executive produced by Moody. This episode was edited by Rona at Rock Quarry Village Studio.